Let's have a look what is the Theorem of Pythagoras. You all have heard of that. When we've got a right angled triangle, then the longer side, that is opposite the right angle, is called the hypotenuse. And when you square the hypotenuse, then you'll find that to be equal to the sum of the squares on those other two sides. Now, mathematically, that's expressed as BC squared is equal to AB squared plus AC squared. Sometimes it's written differently because BC might be called little a because it's opposite angle A, and AB is called little b and AC is called little c. So you might see it as A squared equals B squared plus C squared. Let's have a look at some typical problems involving the Theorem of Pythagoras. The first problem here is where we want to find the hypotenuse, knowing those two other sides. We might have to do some rounding there. We have that the square on x is equal to 3 squared plus the 5 squared. Work that out to be 9 plus 25 or 34. Then you have to take the square root of 34 and you use your calculator and then you round it to 2 decimal places, 5.83. Slightly more difficult problem here. Here the hypotenuse is known as 2.4 and we have to find that particular side, so we have to do a subtraction. When you do the subtraction, 5.2 squared, subtract 2.4 squared, put it in the calculator, make sure you use the brackets and round it to the nearest meter in this particular case. That means 3 decimal places because the units are kilometers. So this is really quite a difficult problem, as you can see. If the hypotenuse is given, indeed you have to do the subtraction. The next problem is more difficult even. There you will need some algebra, and of course we're going to do that later on in program 4. Here we've got a triangle. That value there is x. We know that side is 5, that is 8 meters, and we know also that AB is equal to BC. Now, how do we go about it? We let that AB side be x, and then from Pythagoras we know that dA squared must be equal to 5 squared, the hypotenuse squared, minus x squared. But we also know in the big triangle that dA squared must be equal to the hypotenuse squared minus AC. Now AC is, if that is x and that's x, must be 2x. See, here we get into algebra. When you work that out, then here we've got those two equations. dA squared must be equal to dA squared. In other words, 25 minus x squared must be equal to 64 minus 4x squared. If you square that, you get 4x squared. You have to perform some algebra. You get 3x squared as 39, x squared as 13 as a result, and then we have to take the square root to get the value for dA, and if you do that, then you finally get 3.5. Very difficult problem just to follow on the screen like that. You need to practice, of course, from your textbook.